I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a woman, I put away the childish things. Timid. In an environment of forced silence. Not by violence, but stifled by the one who led me. No options laid.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Connections, and I'm your host, Pastor Kevin McGee of the Victory Temple Church of God in Christ. You're listening to us on iHeartRadio as well as IntellectualRadio.com. Connections is a show designed to keep you connected to the Christian community. So sit back and relax as we get connected. And if you wish to become a Connection sponsor, you may inbox me at bishop1915@gmail.com or inbox me on Facebook. Nature Sunshine, have you met your weight loss goals for 2018? Would you like a natural approach to weight loss? Do you wish to feel and see changes immediately? Do you take medication for high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, fibromyalgia, cancer, arthritis, or any other condition in your body? Do you have poor circulation, frequent colds, flu, or chronic fatigues? Or perhaps you just want to maintain a healthy body? Give Nature Sunshine a try. They have many products and plans that will assist you in losing weight and maintaining and improving your health the natural way. You can visit their website at victoriousliving.mynsp.com, or you can call them at 708-302-5655. Would you share information that could save the life of someone you care about? Of course you would. Many of our women and girls suffer monthly from the side effects of products currently on the market shelves. Introducing cherished products that are a healthy, natural alternative to the unregulated items currently in circulation. They also have supplements for men to aid in prostate health, memory booster, and other nutraceuticals. You can visit their website at nowweknow.net. That's NOWWENO.net to find more information about their product line. And if you would like to have a live demonstration at your event, place an order, or any questions, contact Angela Garrett at 708-508-0592, or you can email her at angiegarrett65@outlook.com, or you can find her on Facebook under Angela Elaine, and Angela is spelled with 2 L's. The Bedrock Movement affirms safety, comfort, dignity, awareness, and empowerment for Chicagoland street homeless. For any internship needs for school, community service that are mandated from the court, or you just want to volunteer assisting the street homeless, you can call John Netherly at 773-567-5110. Today, we are celebrating National Poetry Month, and we have a premier poet in the house. She goes by the stage name of Black Butterfly. She is one half of the husband and wife duo of Rhema Rhetoric. And we're so grateful to have her in the studio this morning. God bless you. How you feeling?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Awesome. And I know that we're in the last couple of weeks of National Poetry Month, and there have been all kinds of poetry shows and celebrations all throughout the course of this month. I just felt that we have to have it on the show today, considering we do a regular poetry highlight anyway. And so I wanted to bring you on, number one, because you have a project that you dropped a few months ago. Awesome. We heard one of the tracks as the show was coming on, and I've been wearing it out in my car. I mean, I literally been wearing it out. I tell you, the one that really gets me is Apples and Oranges. I love that one. I said, oh, I need to come with a rebuttal to that one.
Oh, wow. That's an all-time favorite. That is definitely an all-time favorite.
And so we wanted to have you on the show. Your husband couldn't be with us, but you're here with us, and just saw you about a week ago at our banquet, in our church jurisdictional banquet, and you were awesome. And I had people that said, "Oh, she was good. I said, "Yeah, I know."
Oh, thank you. All glory go to God.
But we just thank God that you're here, and we're gonna talk about your project. And we're going to have you to do something live on the air. And for those of you that's listening to Facebook Live, you can give your comments by typing it in the comment field, as well as if you want to call in and say hello to Black Butterfly if you have any comments or make any suggestions. Maybe you want to hear something. Black Butterfly, can you write a poem about this? Can you write a poem about that? You know, everybody always asks a poet, can you write a poem about this? My husband, he getting on my last name. I need a poem for my husband. Or I messed up with my wife. I've had people to come and ask me to write apologies for their wives. I've
Right,
written
right.
marriage proposals. Okay, so you might want to call in and have her to, write a poem, or just you want to shout out. You can call us at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. So let's get right to it. First of all, let's give everybody a little background of who you are and how you got started in poetry.
Okay. Well, when I first started in poetry, when I started doing spoken word, this was about 3 years ago, January of 2015. Um, I was going by the name of Tanisha Renee because I didn't have a stage name, and I was just, I couldn't come up with something, just then. So, what made me start was, of course, I've always loved poetry, writing, um, words. I always had a love for words and cleverly place words in a sentence and things like that. So I used to dabble with it. And then I grew up in a household where my dad raised the household. He had an iron, he raised it with an iron fist. So when he said something, there was nothing else to be said. So right or wrong, you just had to, close your mouth. And, I respected that. But my, I guess you could say, like, my outlet for things like that started, diary and then poetry. So that's how I started writing. And so for a long time I wrote, but I was not really willing to share it. I never saw myself as a spoken word artist. Never. Even when I started doing, I was just, I would, when I first started doing it, I would read and I would hide behind my paper. I would go to poetry sets and hide in the crowd and then leave before I had a chance to talk to people. So being a spoken word artist was not a passion of mine. But eventually it got around to God pointing out to me that if I want to be free, I had even said that I wanted to write some books and all of that. He said, you have to open your mouth. You have to go ahead and share that, because nobody's gonna buy into who you are if they don't know who you are. So, um, 2015, I was at what church was I at? Prayer and Faith Outreach Ministries with Bishop
Bishop
Hudson.
Hudson.
And as you know, every year, first 21 days of the year, he does the fast.
Exactly.
And it was during that time that he spoke some things into me, and during the prayer time, just positive affirmations about writing and who I was, and it just opened up something in me, and that's what led to me doing spoken word.
Awesome, awesome. And like I said, I've been introduced to you and your husband roughly about a year ago, a little bit over that year.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. I'm like, wow, they are just like awesome. A husband and wife duo, and you don't see that often. Well, I guess, the poet marries another poet, and it's only naturally to perform, but it's not really the common scene,
Right.
And so I love what you guys have as Raymond Rhetoric, but then you also have your own personal, career. You're Black Butterfly. He's I Am a Writer.
Correct.
And so, I've been watching you guys, and I look at all the different poetry shows that you guys are on and headlining. And so it's just awesome experience following your journey. And so kudos to you. So
Thank you.
you remember you mentioned something about you would hide behind your paper.
Yes.
Now I'm a poet I'm a person who writes poetry. I'm not a poet. Contrary to what people say, Earl, I'm not a poet. I just write poetry.
You are a poet. Sorry.
But see, I've never, I hate memorizing. Now, I memorize a lot of things. Maybe because I have so many other things to memorize, I don't want to memorize poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always written songs when I was younger. I grew up writing I grew up writing raps. Okay, and back in the '70s, late '70s, early '80s, yeah, I was into rap. So I would write out stuff, and I would memorize it. I'm like, I'm tired of memorizing. So when I started getting into poetry, I'm like, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna make reading fundamental again.
Now, reading still is very, very fundamental, of course.
And so, but I'm amazed at how many poets can utilize the memorization process in their delivery because it frees them up. So, how important is it to memorize your poem, and is memorization a necessity?
I would say that it's a necessity if you want to be good in your craft. If you love poetry, then memorization should definitely be a part of it. Is it necessary? No, you could write and read all you want to. Reading is fundamental. But for me, before I actually started doing spoken word, memorization was very hard for me. And let me be the first to say that till this day, I dread the memorization process. I dread it. But it allows me to be a little more creative. It allows me to be free on stage because sometimes, you have to be theatrical. So, trying to hold your phone or hold a piece of paper limits what you can do. Sometimes if you don't know it like you would know it as someone who memorized it and you're trying to look down, it makes it hard to connect with the crowd. So it's necessary if you want, and I think that for every spoken word artist, they should have some pieces. You won't memorize every piece, but there should be some pieces that you memorize so that you can make an impact on that piece that you want to perform.
And I agree with you because uh, a lot of poetry, a lot of spoken word, there's dynamics involved. If
True.
you're so busy trying to read, you can't really express the forcefulness or the impact that you're trying to glean from the audience. You want the people to go. You want to have the wow factor.
Yes.
And you're up here. You know, I see you coming at me, but you just don't understand. And see people. You're like, okay, he gonna read the whole thing.
Exactly.
But see, then there I've seen others, and maybe this is the category that I fall into. My mom's church has a poetry cafe, and I go there and I'll do, something there, and I'll pull something up on my tablet or whatever. But see, I tell them, look, give me a stool, give me something soft, and I get up there and I say, and I'll just read like I'm Barry White. I'm slow paced. See, and so it works for my delivery.
Right. Right. Well, some pieces don't have a voice or even a personality until you memorize that piece.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you even want to give it a voice. You want to give it a certain voice. There are pieces like the apples and oranges pieces. Before I actually memorized it, I used to read it. It don't have the impact now that I know it by heart that it had when I was reading it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking that apples and oranges. We got to play that one too. But
I could do that one live if you want me
yeah,
to.
Well, see, I like to. That's why we're gonna do it live. But see, now don't get me wrong. Most of the pieces that I do write and that I do read, I know them. I just have my tablet in case I forget something. I'm having a junior moment,
Right,
not a senior
right.
moment, a junior moment.
Okay.
And so, but because I'm not, like I said, I'm not just constantly looking now because I engage the audience. I look at with my eyes and I'm looking and I'm saying, if I, my stuff, my pieces are mostly romantic. And so
Okay.
I'm engaging. Um, and then I have some other pieces. I have some pieces that I write for one of the hosts here at IntellectualRadio.com. Depending on her subject matter, I'll write a poem that reflects that. I write about anything, but if I'm doing spoken word, I'll have it memorized for the most part, but
Right.
I don't like to rely on my memory.
Okay.
I just don't. I can, and it's not hard for me to do. For me, I can probably memorize the poem within 15 minutes.
Now, see, I have a problem. I can't do that. You know, I go over it about 500 times, and then I record it and listen to it all day long until I get tired of hearing my own voice, and then I perform it a couple of times, and then I think probably by the fifth time I perform it, I think I got it.
And awesome crowds because I watch your husband. I'm like, wow, look at them, check them out. I said, I was like that when I was younger.
Okay.
All right. So now, Rhema Rhetoric. Where did that name come from?
Okay, so my husband came up with the name. God dropped it in his spirit one day. We had performed a couple of times. The very first time we performed together was at the National Poetry Awards in 2016, and that was the very first time we performed together. The love piece that I have on my CD, we turned that into a duet. And we did that. And then after we did the duet, it became one of our most requested pieces. And so we started kind of putting other pieces together. And because we have a divine love for God and, just want to do his work. And we still want to spread the love of God and still speak his word. That's one of the things that we're very passionate about. And he said he was driving one day, God dropped it in his spirit, Rhema, like a fresh word from God. And because we do spoken word, it just kind of went along with it. God dropped Rhema in his spirit, and rhetoric is what we're talking about. And he put it together. He called me up and he said, I really think I got a name for us. And when he said that, I thought it was perfect. So, we became Rhema Rhetoric.
Awesome. Awesome. Now that's going to segue into my next question then. How can poetry be used to minister to those that are in need? Because, the church as a whole has not really embraced poetry the way that it probably should or could have. When you look at the book of Psalms and Song of Solomon, those are poetry books.
Yes.
David and all the other psalmists, even though it's a book of songs, there is poetry. Song of Solomon is nothing but love poetry.
Yes.
Solomon was laying it on.
Yes, he was.
To the Queen of Sheba.
Yes, he was.
He was talking about her eyes and everything else. So
yes.
it was, but you notice you don't hear that being preached in churches. The Song of Solomon. We stay away from that. Because we don't, I believe the church as a whole just really hasn't delved into that area,
I think it still kind of falls in that area of a lot of people thinking that it's just entertainment. They have not come into the realm of realizing that, you can do testimonies through spoken word. That's pretty much how I gave my testimony, my very first testimony, through spoken word. That was the very first piece that I wrote as a Christian poet, so it's becoming more and more popular. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be as busy as we are.
You are busy.
So I think people are catching on.
All right. We got a lot of people watching on Facebook Live. Linda Ford, Demetri Brand Triplet, Melissa Moore, Annette Harris, who has a show here on Mind, Body, and Soul right here on the station, I believe at 12 noon on Wednesdays. Your husband, he's watching. Christopher Jackson.
Hey, honey.
Hey, honey. And Annette says, Song of Solomon is deep.
Yes, it is.
Amen. He says, hello, my love. All right, you all take care of that at home. All right, so I love the fact that spoken word is spreading like wildfire. Everywhere you go, there's spoken word, spoken word. Because what it does is it gives people another outlet for their creativity. And like I said, there's a lot of spoken word artists in the church, And like I said, my mom's church, they have a poetry cafe. And I was blown away when I said, a poetry cafe at church? And so I went there. The first time I went there, they took the multi-purpose room, and they had the table. They had this some tables there. They had the chairs there. They had the the mic. Had stools. You had your keyboard player. He was playing some nice soft music, and I was like, oh yeah. And then they had the big TV camera because they recorded everything. And I said, this is nice. The ambiance was perfect, and so it was just awesome. And so I now have been a part of that process of even helping to develop poets, written some poetry for some people who wanted to get started, and gave them some pointers on, the next step. And so we thank God for spoken word being as advanced as it is now among the kingdom.
Yes.
All right. So now we want to hear something. I got to hear apples and oranges. Okay. Because every woman out there, you need to know if you're dealing with an apple or you're dealing with an orange. This is for my sisters here. All right. All of you that are in relationships, listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna let her loose. If you're dealing with an orange, the only thing that an orange is good for is making juice. But with an apple, you can eat an apple. You can make an apple pie. You can have apple fritters. You can have taffy apples.
The possibility.
Possibility. So we're going to listen to Black Butterfly with her, was it Apples and Oranges?
It's called Apples and Oranges.
Okay.
I once read that a tree is known by the fruit it bears. And it doesn't have to tell anyone what kind of tree it is. So here is this man trying to convince me that he's an apple, just like me. But all I see is an orange. Clearly he's an orange. Apples don't look like that. Apples don't smell like that. See, an apple skin may be thin, but don't get it twisted. When you squeeze an orange, even with this thick skin, just apply a little pressure. All of the juice squirt out and then it's gone like it never existed. And if you peel the skin off, wait a minute. If you peel the skin off, wait, okay, I didn't go over this piece before I get here. Look. If you peel the skin off, then that's more than half the work. You don't have to put in that much work. Just, okay. I didn't practice this piece.
What track is it on the CD?
Yeah, it is number 3.
Number 3.
Hello?
Boss lady.
Hold on, girl. If y'all don't sit down somewhere. Yeah, girl, what's up?
Girl, let me tell you about these apples and oranges. I once read that a tree is known by the fruit it bears. And it doesn't have to tell anyone what kind of tree it is. So here is this man trying to convince me that he's an apple, just like me. But all I see is an orange. Clearly he's an orange. Apples don't look like that. Apples don't smell like that. See, an apple skin may be thin, but don't get it twisted. When you squeeze an orange, even with this thick skin, just apply a little pressure. All of the juice squirt out and then it's gone like it never existed. And if you peel the skin off first, well, that's more than half the battle. You don't have to put in that much work. Just devour each section piece by piece, and then it's gone. And to me, this shade of orange is so unattractive on a man. And he sees my stance, so he shows me all of his assets. Truly, I'm not impressed. He brags about all of his achievements to prove to me he's the best. And for good measure, he throws in that he's a soldier for the Lord and claims to hold the word abreast. He then reveals to me his family tree, and all I see is oranges. Dangling, standing, and sitting, getting squeezed, doing what oranges do with so much ease, squirting juice and quite pleased, but holding signs that read, I am an apple, holding glass bottles, labeled Snapple, chilling on cocktail tables. Exactly when did Snapple start handwriting their labels? Yeah, okay. Please understand that you could never squeeze an apple with your bare hand and get the same reaction as an orange. There's a process to the extraction. See, apples are pretty hardcore and you got to apply some serious pressure to get apple juice. And apples are not loose like oranges. There is absolutely no doubting trees don't have to speak, yet and still you keep shouting, I am an apple. Oh, I get it. You never heard of anyone being the orange of somebody's eye. Perhaps this is why you're trying so hard to be an apple. But baby boy, apples don't fall that far from the tree. And I see your tree, and there are no apples hanging from it. So unless orange is the new red, clearly you are an orange.
All right. We just got through listening to Apples and Oranges by Black Butterfly. That's one of the tracks on her new CD. And you need to get it. If you don't have it, you need to get it. Listen, I told you, I wore the CD out, and I'm glad. I'm telling you, I was in the car with my son, my youngest son, we were listening to. He's like, who is this? I said, you really need to broaden your mind and your horizons and embrace this spoken word.
How old is your son?
My youngest is 20. No, he'll be 20 in June.
Okay.
My oldest will be 23. Was he 20? Is he 23? He'd be 23 or 24 in May.
Okay.
But but my youngest son is more intellectual.
Okay.
So he can embrace it more than my other two children.
Okay.
So we just thank God. Apples and oranges, and yeah. See, apples and oranges. See, I'm an apple, but see, apples don't have to say that they're an apple. They just be an apple. Oranges has to convince everybody that they're an apple.
You know, I did a little skit at my CD release with apples and oranges because everybody kind of liked that piece, and like there were guys that were literally wearing signs that says I am an apple with oranges written like in between. And they were literally up there eating oranges, and juice was falling, and orange peels, and everything was just falling everywhere. And I mean, they made it utterly ridiculous just to bring the point out, and they were just saying that they were apples, but doing everything that oranges do. So
perpetrating.
Yes.
And when you got to that line about a soldier for God, they want to convince you that they're a soldier for God. We got a lot of oranges in the church. And some of the oranges are female.
True.
Oh, we thank God for that. So we're gonna come back and probably either let you do another one or either do another one off the track. But is there a certain subject matter that you specialize in, or that you just prefer to write about?
I prefer to keep it positive and write about life. I do write, like, I do get into like a lot of stuff. A lot of my stuff comes from subjects in the Bible. I have one that I wrote recently that really, really touches home, called The Issue of Blood, because there a few years ago, I came so close to death, and it happened a couple of times, and it was dealing with my blood. So, it just kind of brought me to that story in the Bible about the issue of blood. And a lot of it just comes from, although we are Christian, a lot of people think that you become saved and you don't have any issues. We still struggle every day. We struggle to keep that straight line. Sometimes you can be just going really, really good, and then the devil will throw something in your path and take you back to that person that you used to be. And you have a choice to make. Like, you could either overcome it, or you can, you can unleash that old beast, that old man that we never ever eradicate. So it comes from that. And so I try to stay in that lane and help people who don't really understand Christians or the Bible and all of those things. Some people give Christians a bad name because of their struggles, but I try to help them understand that we're not perfect. There's no perfect Christian out there. If there was, then we wouldn't need Jesus. We wouldn't need to go to church. We wouldn't need to keep striving to do better. It's, that's just how it is.
As a pastor, I often tell people the church is not a social club. The church is a hospital.
It is.
For those who are going through, those who are suffering, this is where they come to get better. So you can't expect everyone in the church to be perfect and to have arrived. They're there because there is an issue in the very beginning. They're looking for something. They're looking for a closer relationship with God. They're looking to become saved. So a lot of times we get a bad rap because people have a different expectation of who we are.
Exactly.
And don't realize that, we have struggles, and the struggle is real.
Yes, it is.
We have issues in the church.
Yes.
And so speaking in the church, and I didn't throw this question out at you, but
okay.
You mentioned growing up in a strong household.
Yeah, my dad. But believe it or not, I didn't grow up in the church.
Oh, okay.
I did not grow up in the church. My family went to church with my grandmother. I think around the time I was like probably 7, and she got sick around the time I was like 9 or 10. And when she stopped going, everybody stopped going. So I did not become a part of the Christian community again until I was very grown.
Wow. And how does your ministry, your church, receive the poetry career of you and your husband?
We go to a pretty large church, so we have not had the opportunity to express our poetic side as of yet. He sings on a praise team, and I've been doing a lot with the sign language ministry. And so that, of course, that enhances what we do. And there are several people who have been trying to get us to start something. So we would like to get something started so that people can showcase their talents. Because there's so many people there that got talents, and not just poetry, but music and other forms of art like Christian rap. And, like our sons, they're very musically inclined. Playing keyboard, guitar, those kind of things. So there's a lot out there, and I would love to get more children to express that, because if they're doing it that way, they don't have to be out in the street trying to find ways to express themselves.
Exactly. Give a shout out to your church.
I go to New Faith, where Pastor Felden is the senior pastor, and shout out, church.
And I actually have cousins, family over there. And so I've been in New Faith, awesome ministry there. And I believe your gift will fit in well there, because they're progressive thinkers over there.
Yes, they are.
Your leaders are very progressive. Your husband said, Pastor Brooks says hello, Pastor McGee. Tell him I say hello. Annette wants to know, how do we get the project?
You can contact me. Let's see, CD Baby. So go to cdbaby.com and find Your Wings Are Ready, Black Butterfly. That's BLAQUE BUTTERFLI. It is also available on Spotify, iTunes, and what is that other one? It's another one. You can also listen to it. You can hear it it's on YouTube as well. So it's on Amazon. So it can be purchased through those. And I usually have them with me, but I didn't bring them today. So.
And let's buy it and not bootleg it. Let me get your copy and copy it. No, don't do that.
Support the artist.
Support the artist. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
I have. As a matter of fact, that's how I wanted people to know that I did poetry. I didn't want to be a spoken word artist. I wanted to write, a few books. But the one thing that slowed me down, one, there's a certain way I want to write it, and one, I can't figure out how to do it. And it's crazy because I absolutely love writing, and I can give people advice on how they should do certain parts of their project. And I'm great at editing and sentence structure and all of those things. And, people come to me for advice, but I can't figure out how to do my own project. So I'm going to get some help on that because I really do need some help.
I may need you as an editor with my 2 books that I'm trying to write.
Okay.
One is a poetry and one is a faith-based book. So, but I might have to keep you in mind on that. What has been your greatest fear when it comes to poetry?
You know what? Ironically, the biggest fear is becoming like this big person in poetry. Because after that, I'm like, what happens when I do that? And, and then I'm thinking like, well, what if, I become this big thing and then I can't write anymore? Or, all of these things, I just get overwhelmed with anxiety. So that's one of the biggest fears with poetry.
Yeah, the fear of blowing up.
Yeah, I do.
And you know what? A lot of people have that fear because they don't know how they're going to be able to adjust, because the greater you become, the more that's going to be required of you.
Yes.
The Bible even says that you'll give. It talks about. I'm thinking about Spider-Man now, not the one, but the Bible.
Well,
the Bible
it does say
much is given.
Yeah, much is
required.
Yes.
I was about to say, with great power comes great responsibility. That's Spider-Man. Woo-wee. But there is a fear that certain people have when it comes to expanding, because they're not sure if they're ready to handle all that comes with it. And that's a natural thing. You're not really afraid of failure. You're afraid of will you be able to live up to
exactly
all that is going to be required. I had the same fear when it came to pastoring. I'm like, what? Mm-mm.
Well, even up to this point, sometimes I ask God, like, you're putting me in front of all of these people to speak to them. And like, why me? Like, why am I the best person for this? I find myself asking those questions, and I praise God that it's a good thing that I'm humble enough to ask him if I'm the perfect person for it, because I know he equips the call. But it is one of those things, like, I'm like, am I living up to what you expect? Am I doing a good job? Am I presenting you in the way that you should be presented? Those are the things that, come across my mind all the time.
And like I said, it's just natural. All right. So, can you do another piece for us?
You talked about testimonial pieces. Okay. Talk about, like, how can we impact it? And I think testimonial pieces definitely help people to understand. I was once here, and this is how far God brought me. So I will do my testimonial piece.
All right.
I'm a sellout. That's right, I'm a sellout, but not the kind that you usually hear about. See, I used to be that girl, the one that had one foot in the church and one foot in the world. But before I became that girl, I started out that shy girl, that sweet, naive, let me use you and all your things, thank you, and bye girl, that never broke the rules, did everything I was told, and hardly ever lied girl. But deep down inside, I had this wild streak, and I was dying to unleash my inner fly girl. So I traveled all around the world, and I discovered that alcohol allowed me to be a bigger and bolder me. Then I became that party hardy, drinking everything from Hennessy to Bacardi girl. That foul mouth, weed smoking, cleavage and midriff prancing, throwing my hands in the air, dancing girl. That disillusioned married man dating, unashamedly fornicating girl. That in the club on Saturday night and in church on Sunday morning with sleepy eyes but never paying my tithes girl. That leave church liberated, then meet my friends at the bar and walk out hours later intoxicated girl. That straddling the fence trying to find a perfect balance between good and evil girl. But then God began to reach out to me. Slowly but surely, I began to reach back. And the more I got involved in the word, the more I became bothered by what I was doing. And it made me question exactly what was I pursuing, trying to live a life unrestricted, feeling more and more convicted, but displaying actions of the wicked and claiming that I belong to Christ. And the more I leaned toward Christ, the more my friends became my persecutors, who felt more like prosecutors in the courtroom, the way they judged and accused me. Then there was an exodus of friendships after being slapped with the label of being holier than thou. When you think you better than us now, Miss Goody Two Shoes, you a lame, you change, girl. So there I was at the crossroad with this heavy load on my back because I was trying to hold on to them. I wanted to turn back, but I couldn't because what I really wanted was more of him. Then one day I received the word when I heard that to walk with Jesus, I had to make a sacrifice. I heard his voice. It was time to make a choice, but I hesitated. I struggled in the tug of war, going back and forth between the old me and the new me, between my flesh and my destiny. This battle of what I wanted versus what God wanted for me. He finally said, my daughter, there is no in between. You either want them or me. Now, this should have been a no-brainer, but I weighed the pros and cons and I asked myself, do you want the world or do you want a life with Christ? Eternal or eternal life? But then I was written die for me. He got nailed to the cross and paid the cost just for me. He died and conquered death. Would this world give its last breath for me? The message was clear. Right then and there, I sold out to Christ to have everlasting life. And now I see those same persecutors in the same situations always trying to knock me from my state of elation. They mock and challenge the Jesus in me because blind to the realization that all of the blessings I'm receiving is because I finally started believing. They hang out with the devil knowing he's deceiving and choose to live in this world of sin. Take off their shoes, put up their feet, and relax in the devil's den, even when his empty promises prove to be paper thin. And to me, that's just insane. So I made a choice to trade in my sorrow and pain. So I sold out to Jesus. The devil is constantly using this hocus pocus in attempts to knock me off my square and make me lose my focus. He wants to leave me bare like a field invaded by locusts. He sends people to distract me and others to attack me, always trying to punk me like it's no one there to back me. I got this close to losing my sanity that I had to rearrange my priorities. So I clipped some wings and I cut some strings and I gave up things that I held dear because Jesus is who I wanted to be near. So I gave up relationships and loosened up some friendships. I put some distance between me and some kinships because I was worn from expensive guilt trips and tired of Satan's hardships. So I sold out to Jesus. And that's when the devil really sent in his crew to beat me down till I turned blue. But it was Jesus who saw me through because the word of God is true. His word is so deep that sometimes I find myself losing sleep. And although I may weep, never am I left feeling cheap. His word fills me. His promise thrills me. His blood shields me, gives me the victory when the devil drills me. And now I don't have to think twice about being an ambassador for Christ. If those non-believers only knew why I do what I do, they'd get a clue and sell out to Jesus too. So I say to those all on my back, don't hate because Jesus is the author and finisher of my faith. As long as I got the word on my plate, never again will I be the devil's bait because I sold out to Jesus.
All right. The only thing I can say is girl. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank
you. He commented, here comes that anointing. Awesome testimony. And see, that's the message that our young people can glean from.
Yes.
When we're doing spoken word in the church. They can hear where a person has been. Exactly. They can see the transformation that God has made in their lives. And they can realize that, hey, I don't have to, feel all like I'm a stuffy shirt and, that I can move and operate in the lane that God put me in and yet express my creativity.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about. From whether you're a praise dancer, whether you're a spoken word artist, whether you're a singer, what have you, it's all about how you can exhibit the talent that God has placed in you. Yes. Amen. And so we thank God for that. How can people contact you if they want to book you?
I have a page on Facebook, Black Butterfly Inc. INK. There's a book me button there. My information is there. I am also on Instagram at Black_Butterfly 7207. I'm on Twitter as BB Fly with 3 Y's. And also, I'm part of this awesome team called Team at Ease. Salute. We have an open mic every first Sunday, 6624 West North Avenue. It's at AJ Styles. So I'm usually there. And tonight I will be performing at Beast Women. That's an all-woman cast. It's a show at the Prop Theater that showcase all women, whatever their talents are. So I'll be performing there tonight, and that's pretty much it. Hit me up on Facebook, Tanisha Jackson.
All right, all right. And somebody asked me, Pastor McGee, are you gonna do anything? No, I'm not.
Oh, come on now.
No. They have to listen. I have a poetry group I created on Facebook called the Inkwell. Inbox me and I'll give you access to that. You can read my stuff.
All right, I'm gonna have to put a couple of pieces on there for you.
But that's about all you're gonna get from me. But we just thank God for having you on the show.
Yes.
As we're celebrating National Poetry Month. And we will be following your journey. And next time we'll get you and your husband together on the show as Rhema Rhetoric and have both of you go. Because that one piece where you do together, we'll talk about the black man. I love that piece.
Oh, the one on the CD?
Yeah, I love that one.
Thank you.
So I'll definitely gotta have that one on there. All right. Stop by Victory Temple Church of God in Christ every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. We're located in the village of Broadview, 2000 West Roosevelt Road, and we're located inside of the Community Presbyterian Church building. Tomorrow's message, I was built for this. And you can come on by and you can hear about us. Listen, on the first Sunday in May, May the 6th at 4 o'clock p.m., we'll be in our Family Day, which is formerly Family and Friends Day. We'll be in our Family Day at 4 o'clock p.m. Our guest speaker will be the Pastor Carl Adair of the New Beginning South Shore Church from Evanston, Illinois. Come on out and be with us. And thank God for all our sponsors, all of those who are checked in on Facebook Live, Carolyn Anderson, Ebony Singson Patterson, Anita Watkins, Annette Harris. We just thank God for all of you. Stay tuned for Humanities in the Headlines right here on IntellectualRadio.com.
I thought as a child, but when I became a woman, I put away childish things. Timid, in an environment of forced silence. Not by violence, but stifled by the one who led me. No options laid out, no multiple choice. So I pressed mute on the nearest remote to shut off my own voice. Sequestered like an unopened, sitting inside a box with socks, purposely unsecured but left hanging. Perched inside, banging on the walls, dying to be free, crying to be me. Trying my best to see, but in the dark everything is black.